It was a bright and sunny Saturday morning. The kind of morning where the birds chirp loud, the sky is blue, and you just want to sit outside all day. That's exactly what 12-year-old Timmy Johnson was doing. He was chilling on his brand new patio swing in the backyard. You know the kind of swing I mean, right? It's the one that squeaks a little when you rock back and forth. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Timmy loved that sound. It made him smile every time he pushed his feet against the ground and swung up high. Timmy's family had just moved into this quiet little neighborhood a few weeks ago. It was a nice place. The houses were all lined up neat and tidy, with green lawns and pretty flowers in the front yards. Timmy's house had a big backyard perfect for playing, running, or just sitting on a swing. His dad had put the swing up the day before. It was a gift for Timmy because moving to a new place can be kind of hard, you know? New school, new friends, new everything. So, the swing was Timmy's special spot now. He could sit there, rock back and forth, and feel happy. The swing was simple. It had a wooden seat, painted bright red, and two strong ropes tied to a big tree branch. When Timmy sat on it, he could see the whole backyard. There was a little sandbox in one corner, a picnic table near the back door, and a tall fence all around. Beyond the fence, he could peek at the other houses. It was peaceful. Or at least, it was supposed to be. But here's the thing: someone else wasn't happy about Timmy's swing. Not one bit. That someone was Karen Wilson. She lived right across the street from Timmy's house. Karen wasn't like most neighbors. Oh no. She was special in her own grumpy way. Everyone in the neighborhood knew her. They called her the HOA Queen. HOA stands for Homeowners Association. It's a group of people who make rules about how the neighborhood should look. Like, your grass can't be too long, your trash cans have to be hidden, stuff like that. Karen loved those rules. She loved them so much she carried a clipboard everywhere she went, writing down anything she didn't like. Karen wasn't tall or big, but she acted like she was the boss of everything. She had short gray hair that stuck out like a bird's nest, and her face always looked like she'd just eaten a sour lemon. Frown lines were carved deep into her skin, like she hadn't smiled in years. Maybe she never did. She wore big glasses that made her eyes look huge, and she always had that clipboard in her hand. Clipped to it was a long list of rules, pages and pages of them. If your grass grew half an inch too tall, Karen would be at your door. Knock, knock, knock. Fix it, she'd say. If your dog barked one time too loud, she'd write it down. If your mailbox was a tiny bit crooked, she'd tell you to straighten it right away. The neighbors didn't like Karen much. They'd whisper about her when she wasn't around. There goes Karen again, they'd say, rolling their eyes. She's got nothing better to do. Kids in the neighborhood were a little scared of her. She'd yell at them if they rode their bikes too fast or laughed too loud. One time, she told a girl named Sarah to stop drawing with chalk on her own driveway because it was messy. Can you believe that? Chalk washes away with rain, but Karen didn't care. Rules were rules, and she was the queen of making sure everyone followed them. So, on this sunny Saturday morning, Timmy was swinging away, minding his own business. He didn't know Karen was watching him from across the street. She was standing by her window, peeking through the curtains. Her big glasses glinted in the sunlight as she stared at that red swing. Her frown got deeper. Her lips pressed into a thin, angry line. She didn't like what she saw. Not one bit. That swing was new. It wasn't there last week. And Karen hadn't seen it before, which meant one thing in her mind: it wasn't approved. In her world, everything had to be checked by her first. Every flower pot, every birdhouse, every little thing. And a swing? Oh, that was a big deal to Karen. Timmy didn't see her yet. He was too busy swinging. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The breeze felt nice on his face. His brown hair flopped around as he went up and down. He wore a green t-shirt and blue shorts, and his sneakers kicked the air. He was just a kid enjoying his day. A normal 12-year-old kid who liked swings and sunshine. But to Karen, he wasn't just a kid. He was a rule breaker. A troublemaker. A problem she needed to fix. Now, here's where things get interesting. Karen didn't know something about Timmy. Something big. Timmy wasn't just some random kid who moved into the neighborhood. Nope. He had a secret. A secret so cool it was like a superhero power, but not the kind with capes or flying. It was a different kind of secret, one that was going to flip Karen's world upside down. She thought she was the smartest person on the block. She thought she knew everything about everyone. But she didn't know about Timmy. Not yet. Let's talk about Timmy for a minute. He was a pretty regular kid on the outside. He had freckles on his nose from playing in the sun too much. He liked video games and pizza and riding his bike with his friends. When his family moved here, he was a little nervous. New places can feel strange at first, right? But he was starting to like it. The house was bigger than their old one. The backyard was awesome. And the swing? That was the best part. His dad had surprised him with it. Something to make this place feel like home, his dad had said with a grin. Timmy's dad was a nice guy. He was tall, with short black hair and a friendly smile. He worked a lot, but he always made time for Timmy. His mom was nice too. She had curly brown hair and loved baking cookies. They were a happy family, just trying to settle into their new home. They didn't want any trouble. They didn't know about Karen yet. Well, they'd heard a few stories from the neighbors, little warnings like, watch out for the lady across the street. But they didn't think much of it. Not until today. Back to that sunny morning. Timmy was swinging higher now. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The ropes creaked a little as he went up, then down, then up again. He could see over the fence if he leaned forward just right. He saw the street, the mailboxes, and Karen's house across the way. Her house looked perfect. Too perfect. The grass was cut short, like someone measured it with a ruler. The bushes were trimmed into little squares. There wasn't a single weed anywhere. It was like a picture from a magazine, but not in a fun way. It felt cold. Like no one really lived there, just rules. Karen was still at her window, watching. She tapped her clipboard with a pen. Tap, tap, tap. She muttered to herself, that swing. That awful swing. She didn't like the red color. She didn't like the squeaking. She didn't like that it was there at all. In her head, she was already writing a big note about it. Unapproved structure, she'd call it. She'd march over to Timmy's house soon. She'd tell his parents they had to take it down. She'd make sure they knew who was in charge. But Timmy? He kept swinging. He didn't hear her muttering. He didn't see her glaring. He was in his own little world, enjoying the day. The sun was warm, the sky was clear, and the swing was perfect. He didn't know Karen was about to start trouble. He didn't know she was going to make a big fuss over something so small. But that's how Karen was. She turned tiny things into giant problems. And she was good at it. Let's slow down for a second. Picture this scene. Timmy on his swing, happy as can be. The red seat moving back and forth. The ropes pulling tight against the tree branch. The backyard all green and sunny. And then, across the street, Karen with her clipboard, her sour face, her big plans to ruin Timmy's fun. It's funny when you think about it. A kid and a swing versus a grumpy lady and her rules. Who's going to win? You might think you know, but hang on. There's more to this story. Way more. Timmy's secret was still hidden. Karen had no clue. She thought she had all the power. She thought she could boss everyone around like always. She'd done it before. She'd made Mr. Lopez repaint his fence because she didn't like the color. She'd told Mrs. Carter to stop hanging bird feeders because they attracted pests. She'd even yelled at little Joey down the street for flying a kite too close to her house. Karen always won. Or at least, she thought she did. But this time? This time was different. Timmy wasn't like the other neighbors. He wasn't scared of her. He didn't even know to be scared of her yet. He was just a kid with a swing. A kid who liked to have fun. A kid who didn't care about HOA rules or clipboards or grumpy ladies across the street. But that secret he had. It was going to change everything. It was going to make Karen wish she'd never peeked out her window that morning. So, what was Timmy's secret? I'm not going to tell you just yet. That would ruin the fun. But I'll give you a tiny hint. It had something to do with his family. Something big. Something that made Timmy more than just a kid with a squeaky swing. Karen thought she was the smartest one around, but she was about to find out she was wrong. Really, really wrong. The day was still young. The sun was climbing higher in the sky. Timmy kept swinging, oblivious to the storm brewing across the street. Karen kept plotting, ready to march over and start trouble. It was a quiet little neighborhood, but it wasn't going to stay quiet for long. Something big was coming. Something wild. Something that would make everyone talk about Timmy and his swing for weeks. Are you curious yet? Do you want to know what happens next? Stick around, because the story is just getting started. Timmy's swing was about to spark a whole lot of chaos. And Karen? She was about to learn a lesson she'd never forget. Keep reading, friends. The best part is still ahead. It was still that sunny Saturday morning. The birds were chirping, the sky was blue, and 12-year-old Timmy Johnson was swinging on his new patio swing. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The red wooden seat rocked back and forth under the big tree in his backyard. Timmy was happy. He loved his swing. It was his favorite thing about the new house. But not everyone felt the same way. Nope. Trouble was coming, and it was wearing big glasses and carrying a clipboard. Karen Wilson strutted across the street like she owned the whole neighborhood. Her gray hair stuck out all messy, and her nose was wrinkled up tight, like she'd just smelled a pile of stinky socks. She stopped right at the edge of Timmy's yard, her hands on her hips. She stared at the swing, Timmy's bright red swing, like it was the worst thing she'd ever seen. Her big eyes behind those giant glasses got even bigger. She pointed at it with one bony finger, like she was a detective pointing at a clue in a mystery. That swing, she barked, her voice loud and sharp. It's an eyesore. It's ugly. The HOA rules say no swings unless they're approved, and I didn't approve this one. She shook her head so fast her glasses almost fell off. Karen was mad. Really mad. To her, that swing wasn't just a swing. It was a problem. A big, red, squeaky problem that broke her precious rules. Timmy just sat there. He didn't jump up. He didn't yell back. He kept swinging gently, the ropes creaking a little as he moved. Squeak, squeak, squeak. He looked up at Karen with his big, innocent brown eyes. His freckles dotted his nose, and his green t-shirt flapped in the breeze. It's just a swing, ma'am, he said politely. His voice was soft, like he didn't want to fight. He even gave her a little smile, the kind you give when you're trying to be nice. But Karen? Oh, she wasn't having it. Not even a little bit. That polite answer made her madder. She didn't want Timmy to be calm. She wanted him to be scared. She wanted him to say, "Oh no, I'm sorry, I'll take it down." But Timmy didn't do that. He just kept swinging, like her yelling didn't bother him at all. And that drove Karen nuts. Her face turned red, like a tomato about to burst. Her frown got so deep it looked like it might stay there forever. "You listen to me, young man," she snapped, wagging her finger at him. "This isn't just a swing. This is against the rules. The HOA says everything has to look perfect, and that thing is not perfect. It's loud. It's bright. It's wrong." She stomped her foot on the grass, making a little thud. She was acting like the swing had insulted her personally. Like it had called her a mean name or something. Timmy tilted his head. He didn't say anything else. He just watched her, still swinging. Squeak, squeak, squeak. His sneakers kicked the air a little as he went up and down. He wasn't mad. He wasn't scared. He looked calm. Too calm. Like he knew something Karen didn't. His tiny smile stayed on his lips, tugging up just a bit at the corners. Why wasn't he worried? Why wasn't he jumping up to argue or run inside to tell his mom? Something was up. Something sneaky. But Karen didn't notice. She was too busy being loud. Karen huffed and puffed, her clipboard bouncing against her side. She pulled her phone out of her pocket so fast it almost flew out of her hand. She jabbed at the buttons with her finger, her glasses slipping down her nose. "I'm fixing this right now," she muttered to herself. Then she held the phone to her ear and started talking, well, yelling into it. "Yes, hello. This is Karen Wilson. There's an illegal structure in my neighborhood. Yes, right now. It's a swing. An ugly, unapproved swing. Send someone quick." She'd called 911. That's right, 911. The number you call for emergencies, like if your house is on fire or someone's hurt. But Karen called it for a swing. A kid's swing in a backyard. Can you believe that? She stood there, tapping her foot, waiting for someone to answer her. Her voice was so loud Timmy could hear every word, even over the squeaking of the swing. Yes, I need the police. This is serious. It's breaking all the rules, she screeched into the phone. Timmy didn't stop swinging. Squeak, squeak, squeak. He didn't argue. He didn't even frown. He just kept going, back and forth, watching Karen with those big eyes. That tiny smile stayed on his face, like he was holding in a secret laugh. Why wasn't he worried? The police were coming. Karen was calling them right there in his yard. Most kids would be scared. Most kids would run inside or say, please don't call the police. But not Timmy. He acted like it was no big deal. Like he didn't care at all. What was going on in his head? Something was definitely up, and Karen was too busy yelling to see it. Karen paced back and forth in Timmy's yard now. Her shoes squished the grass as she walked. She held the phone tight, nodding like the person on the other end could see her. Yes, it's at 123 Maple Street. Right across from my house. You need to hurry. This is an emergency, she shouted. She kept pointing at the swing, like it might run away if she didn't keep an eye on it. It's red. It's loud. It's ruining everything, she added, her voice getting higher and squeakier, almost like the swing itself. Timmy watched her pace. He swung a little higher now, the ropes pulling tight against the tree branch. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The sun was shining down, making the red seat glow bright. Karen's shadow stretched across the yard as she moved. She looked like a grumpy cartoon character, all fussy and loud. But Timmy didn't laugh. He didn't say a word. He just kept swinging, his smile growing a tiny bit bigger. It was like he knew something funny was about to happen. Something Karen wouldn't like one bit. Karen finally hung up the phone. She shoved it back in her pocket and crossed her arms. There, she said, glaring at Timmy. The police are on their way. You'll see. That swing is coming down, and your parents are going to hear about this. Breaking rules is not okay in my neighborhood. She nodded to herself, like she'd just won a big fight. Her glasses slid down again, and she pushed them back up with a huff. Timmy looked at her. Okay, ma'am, he said simply. That was it? Just okay. He didn't sound mad. He didn't sound scared. He sounded fine. Like someone telling the police about his swing was no big deal at all. He pushed his feet against the ground and swung a little more. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The sound filled the air, mixing with Karen's heavy breathing as she stood there, staring at him. Karen blinked. What do you mean, okay, she snapped. This isn't okay. You should be sorry. You should be worried. She leaned closer, her big glasses making her eyes look like two giant marbles. Don't you know who I am? I'm Karen Wilson. I run the HOA. I make the rules around here. She waved her clipboard in the air, like it was a magic wand that could make anything happen. Timmy shrugged. Just a little shrug, like he didn't care. It's just a swing, he said again. His voice was still soft, still polite. He didn't yell back. He didn't get off the swing. He just kept going, back and forth, back and forth. Squeak, squeak, squeak. That shrug made Karen's face turn even redder. She wasn't used to kids acting like this. Most people listened to her. Most people said, yes, ma'am, and did what she wanted. But Timmy? He wasn't playing her game. You little. Karen started to say, but she stopped herself. She took a deep breath, her chest puffing out like a balloon. You'll see, she said, her voice low and mean. When the police get here, you won't be so calm. That swing is gone. 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 She spelled it out, like Timmy didn't know what the word meant. She turned around and stomped a few steps away, then spun back to glare at him again. And don't think you can hide. I know where you live now. Timmy didn't answer. He just swung. Squeak, squeak, squeak. His eyes followed her as she marched back and forth, muttering to herself. Kids these days, she grumbled. No respect. No manners. Breaking rules like it's nothing. She shook her head, her gray hair bouncing. Well, I'll fix that. I always fix it. This is my neighborhood. Mine. The backyard was quiet except for Karen's voice and the swings squeaking. The sun kept shining. The birds kept chirping. But there was a funny feeling in the air now. A tense feeling. Like something big was about to happen. Karen thought she was in charge. She thought she'd won already. She thought the police would show up, take the swing down, and tell Timmy's parents to follow her rules. She was sure of it. She smiled a little, a mean, sneaky smile as she imagined it. But Timmy? He didn't look like someone who'd lost. He didn't look scared at all. That tiny smile on his face stayed right where it was. His eyes sparkled a little, like he was holding in a secret. Why wasn't he worried? The police were coming. Karen had called them. She was yelling and pointing and making a big fuss. Most kids would be shaking or crying by now. But not Timmy. He was too calm. Too happy. Something was up. Something big. And Karen was too busy being mad to notice. Let's think about this for a second. Karen was loud. She was bossy. She was sure she was right. She had her phone and her clipboard and her rules, and she thought that made her the winner. She thought Timmy was just a kid, a silly little kid who didn't know anything. She thought she could scare him and make him do what she wanted. But Timmy wasn't scared. He wasn't even upset. He just kept swinging, like nothing was wrong. Why? What did he know that Karen didn't? What was hiding behind that tiny smile? Karen didn't see it. She didn't wonder. She was too busy pacing and muttering and waiting for the police. She kept looking down the street, her big eyes squinting. They'll be here soon, she said to herself. They'll see I'm right. They always do. She nodded, like she was agreeing with herself. She was so sure. So certain. She didn't think anything could go wrong. But that feeling in the air? That tense, funny feeling? It was getting stronger. The swing kept squeaking. Timmy kept smiling. And Karen kept missing the clues. She didn't know what was coming. She didn't know Timmy had a secret. A secret that was going to turn this whole morning into something wild. Something she'd never expect. The conflict was set now. The tension was building. Karen versus Timmy. The loud HOA queen versus the quiet kid on the swing. Who was going to win? Karen thought she had it all figured out. She thought she was the boss. But Timmy's calm little smile said something else. Something was up. Something sneaky. Something fun. And it was about to get a whole lot crazier. Stick around, friends. This story's just heating up. The sun was still shining bright that Saturday morning. The squeaky red swing rocked gently in Timmy's backyard, but things were getting loud now. Karen Wilson, the grumpy HOA queen, was on a roll. She held her phone tied to her ear, pacing back and forth across Timmy's yard like an angry chicken. Her gray hair bounced, her big glasses slipped down her nose, and her voice was loud enough to scare the birds away. Yes, I said it's an illegal swing, she shouted into the phone. It's ruining the neighborhood. You need to send someone right now. Karen's shoes squished the grass as she walked. Back and forth, back and forth. Her arms waved around like she was trying to fly. She was mad, really mad about that swing. To her, it wasn't just a toy. It was a giant problem. A rule-breaking, squeaky, red disaster. She kept yelling into the phone, her words tumbling out fast. It's not approved. It's ugly. It's loud. This is an emergency. She sounded like she'd never been so upset in her life. While Karen ranted, the back door of Timmy's house creaked open. A head poked out. It was Timmy's mom. She had curly brown hair tied up in a messy bun, and she was wearing a blue apron with little flowers on it. She'd been inside baking cookies, chocolate chip, Timmy's favorite. The sweet smell floated out the door, mixing with the fresh air. She looked at Karen, then at Timmy, then back at Karen. Everything okay out here? She called. Her voice was calm, like she wasn't sure what was happening but wanted to check. Karen stopped pacing for a second. She spun around so fast her clipboard almost flew out of her hand. Her face was red, and her eyes were huge behind those big glasses. "No, it's not okay," she snapped, pointing at Timmy's mom like she'd done something wrong. "Your kid's breaking every rule in the book. That swing is illegal. It's against HOA rules. I didn't approve it, and it's got to go." Her voice was sharp, like a teacher scolding a naughty student. Timmy's mom blinked. She raised one eyebrow, just a little. She didn't look mad or scared. She looked curious. Like she was trying to figure out why Karen was so upset about a swing. She leaned against the door frame, crossing her arms over her apron. "Oh," she said, her voice still calm. "What rules?" She didn't yell back. She didn't argue. She just stood there, watching Karen wave her arms like a windmill. Karen's jaw dropped. She couldn't believe it. "What rules?" she screeched. "The HOA rules. The ones that keep this neighborhood nice. No unapproved swings. No loud noises. No ugly things in yards. That swing is ruining property values. It's against standards." She waved her clipboard in the air, like it was proof she was right. Pages flapped in the breeze, full of tiny writing about grass length and mailbox colors and all her silly rules. Timmy's mom tilted her head. She didn't say much. She just nodded a tiny bit, like she was listening but not really agreeing. She said softly. Then she looked at Timmy, who was still in the yard. "You okay, sweetie?" she asked him. Her voice was warm, like a hug. She wasn't worried about Karen's yelling. She just wanted to make sure Timmy was fine. Timmy looked up from where he was standing now. He'd hopped off the swing a minute ago. The red seat was still swaying a little behind him, squeak, 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 but he wasn't on it anymore. He'd wandered over to the tall wooden fence that ran around the backyard. "Yeah, Mom," he said with a little grin. "I'm good." His green t-shirt flapped in the breeze, and his sneakers crunched on the grass as he shifted his feet. He didn't sound upset. He sounded happy. Calm. Like Karen's big tantrum was just a funny show to him. Karen spun toward Timmy again. "Good," she barked. "You shouldn't be good. You should be sorry. That swing is trouble, and the police are coming to take it down." She pointed at him with her bony finger, her glasses sliding down her nose again. She pushed them back up with a huff. "You and your mom need to learn the rules around here. I'm in charge. I say what goes." Timmy's mom raised her eyebrow a little higher. "Police," she said, like she wasn't sure she'd heard right. "For a swing." She glanced at Timmy, then back at Karen. She still didn't yell. She didn't even step out of the doorway. She just stood there, her arms crossed, watching Karen like she was a puzzle to figure out. "Yes, police." Karen shouted. "I called 911. This is serious. You can't just put up whatever you want. This neighborhood has rules." She paced again, her shoes making little thumps on the ground. "Property values. Standards. Respect. You people don't get it?" She waved her arms some more, her clipboard flapping like a bird trying to take off. She was so loud now that a few neighbors peeked out their windows down the street, wondering what all the noise was about. Timmy's mom didn't answer right away. She just watched Karen rant. Her face stayed calm, but there was a tiny twinkle in her eyes, like she knew something funny. She didn't say it out loud, though. She just let Karen keep going, yelling about rules and swings and how everything had to be perfect. The smell of cookies drifted out the door again, soft and sweet, while Karen's voice cut through the air like a siren. Meanwhile, Timmy wasn't listening to Karen anymore. He was too busy doing something else. He stood by the fence now, his hands gripping the wooden slats. The fence was taller than him, but there were little gaps between the boards. Tiny spaces just big enough to peek through. Timmy pressed his face close, one eye squinting as he looked out. He wasn't watching Karen or his mom. He was watching something down the street. Something interesting. Something Karen didn't see. What was it? Well, here's the first little secret: 2 police cars were parked a block away. Yup, 2 of them. They were just sitting there, quiet and still. Their lights were off, no flashing red and blue, no sirens, nothing. They looked like regular cars from far away, but Timmy knew what they were. He could see the shiny badges on the sides and the antennas sticking up. They weren't moving. They weren't coming closer. They were just waiting. Weird, right? Why were they there? Why weren't they zooming over with sirens blaring like Karen wanted? Timmy's grin got a little bigger. He didn't say anything. He didn't run over to tell his mom. He just kept peeking through the fence, watching those cars. His brown hair flopped over his eyes, and he pushed it back with one hand. Squeak, 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 went the swing behind him, slowing down now that he wasn't on it. The police cars didn't move. They stayed put, like they were part of a secret plan. And Timmy? He acted like he knew what that plan was. Karen didn't notice the cars. She was too busy yelling. She didn't see Timmy by the fence, either. She didn't see his grin or the way he kept looking down the street. She was stuck in her own world, pacing and waving her arms and talking into her phone again. Hello? Are you still there? Where are the police? I need them now, she shouted. She didn't know those cars were already close. She didn't know Timmy was watching them. She didn't know a lot of things. Timmy's mom glanced at Timmy. She saw him by the fence. She saw that little grin on his face. She didn't say anything, but her lips twitched, like she was holding back a smile of her own. Did she know about the police cars too? Maybe. Maybe not. She didn't ask Timmy what he was looking at. She just turned back to Karen, who was still ranting like a broken record. This neighborhood is falling apart. Swings everywhere. No respect. Karen cried, throwing her hands up. The air felt funny now. Like something big was building up. Karen thought she was winning. She thought the police would come any second, take the swing down, and make Timmy and. Timmy's mom smiled and said, "Okay, we'll take it down if it's such a big deal." But Timmy just grinned wider. He knew something Karen didn't, and it was going to be a big surprise. He wandered back to the swing and sat down again, rocking gently. Squeak, squeak, squeak. He didn't say a word. He just waited. Karen kept going. You'll see. The police will be here soon. This is my neighborhood, and I say what stays and what goes. She stomped her foot, her clipboard shaking in her hand. She didn't see the police cars. She didn't see Timmy's grin. She didn't see his mom's calm face. She was too busy being loud and mad. Timmy peeked through the fence again. The cars were still there, just sitting. No lights. No noise. Just waiting. Why? What were they doing? Timmy knew. His dad had told him something special a few days ago. Something secret. Something that made this whole thing hilarious. But Karen didn't know. Not yet. The tension was thick now. Karen was sure she'd won. She thought the police would back her up. She thought Timmy and his mom would have to listen to her. But Timmy wasn't worried. His mom wasn't either. They were calm, too calm. And those police cars? They were the first little clue that something wild was coming. Something Karen would never expect. What was Timmy's secret? Why were the police already there? It was only a matter of time before Karen found out. And when she did, oh boy, it was going to be good. Stick around, because this story's about to get crazy. The sunny Saturday morning wasn't so quiet anymore. Karen Wilson was still yelling in Timmy's backyard, her voice loud and sharp like a barking dog. She waved her clipboard and paced around, her gray hair bouncing and her big glasses slipping down her nose. The police are coming, she shouted. That swing is history. You'll see. She was so sure she was right. So sure she'd won. Her face was red, and her eyes were wide with excitement. She thought she was the boss of everything. Timmy sat on his red swing, rocking gently. Squeak, squeak, squeak. His green t-shirt flapped in the breeze, and his sneakers kicked the air a little. He wasn't yelling back. He wasn't scared. He just watched Karen with a tiny smile, like he knew something she didn't. His mom stood by the back door, her arms crossed over her flowery apron. She wasn't yelling either. She just watched, calm and quiet, with a little twinkle in her eyes. The air felt funny, tense and buzzy, like something big was about to happen. Then, all of a sudden, a loud noise cut through Karen's yelling. Wee-oh-oh, wee-oh-oh. Sirens. They were close, really close. Everyone froze for a second. Karen stopped pacing. Timmy stopped swinging. His mom looked down the street. The sound got louder, bouncing off the houses. Wee-oh-oh, wee-oh-oh. It was the police. They were here. Karen's eyes lit up like Christmas lights. She clapped her hands together and spun around to face Timmy and his mom. "See? I told you," she crowed, her voice loud and proud. "The law's on my side. I called them, and they're here to fix this mess." She crossed her arms over her chest, her clipboard tucked under one elbow. A big, smug grin spread across her face. She looked like she'd just won a prize. "That swing is coming down, and you can't stop it," she added, nodding hard. Her glasses wobbled, but she didn't care. She was happy, super happy. She thought the police were coming to help her. Timmy's mom tilted her head. "Oh," she said softly, like she wasn't sure what Karen meant. Timmy just sat there, his swing still now. He didn't say anything, but that tiny smile on his face got a little bigger. He looked down the street, past the fence, where the sirens were coming from. Karen didn't notice his smile. She was too busy grinning and talking. "Yes, oh," she snapped back. "The police know who's in charge here. Me. I run this neighborhood." Then they saw them. Two police officers stepped out of those cars, the ones Timmy had seen parked a block away. The cars had been quiet before, just sitting there with no lights or noise. But now, the sirens were on, flashing red and blue, and the officers were walking. They were tall, wearing dark blue uniforms with shiny badges on their chests. One had a hat pulled low over his eyes, and the other carried a little notebook. They moved fast, their boots clicking on the pavement. And they were coming straight toward Timmy's house. Karen clapped again. "Here they come," she cheered. She turned to Timmy and pointed at him. "You're in trouble now, kid. Say goodbye to that ugly swing." She laughed a loud, mean laugh that echoed across the yard. She thought this was it. Her big win. She'd called 911 about the swing, and now the police were here to back her up. She stood tall, her arms still crossed, waiting for them to march into the backyard and tell Timmy's mom to take the swing down. The officers got closer. They walked past Karen's perfect house with its short grass and square bushes. They crossed the street, their shadows stretching long in the sunlight. Timmy's mom stepped out of the doorway now, standing on the back porch. She watched the officers, her face still calm. Timmy hopped off the swing and stood by the fence, peeking through the slats. His grin was growing. Karen didn't see it. She was too busy gloating. The officers reached the edge of Timmy's yard. Karen waved at them, like she was saying, "Over here." She bounced on her toes, her clipboard shaking. "Officers. Thank you for coming so fast," she called. "It's that swing. Right there. It's illegal. I told them, but they wouldn't listen." She pointed at the red swing, still hanging from the tree. Squeak, 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 it went, swaying a little in the breeze. But then something funny happened. The officers didn't walk into the backyard. They didn't go toward the swing. They stopped. Right in front of Karen. They stood there, looking at her with serious faces. Karen's grin froze. Her arms dropped a little. What's going on?" she said, her voice not so loud anymore. She blinked fast, her big glasses making her eyes look huge and confused. The taller officer, the one with the hat, stepped forward. He had a deep voice, calm but strong. "Karen Wilson?" he asked. He didn't smile. He didn't look at the swing. He just stared right at her. Karen's mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. Yes," she stammered. Her hands fidgeted with her clipboard. Her smug grin was gone now, like someone had wiped it off with an eraser. She looked nervous. Really nervous. The other officer, the one with the notebook, pulled out a piece of paper from his pocket. It was folded neat and clean. He unfolded it and held it up. "We've got a warrant here," he said. His voice was firm, like he meant business. "You're under arrest, Karen Wilson. For forging HOA documents and pocketing dues money." He looked at her, his eyes steady. The words hung in the air like a big, heavy cloud. Karen's face went white. All the color drained out, like water swirling down a drain. Her mouth dropped open so wide you could see her teeth. "What?" she squeaked. "Arrest." Me. No, no, no. You've got it wrong. I called you about the swing. She waved her hands, her clipboard flapping like a scared bird. It's them. They're the ones breaking rules. Not me. She pointed at Timmy and his mom, her finger shaking. But the officers didn't look at Timmy or his mom. They kept their eyes on Karen. The tall one pulled out a pair of shiny handcuffs from his belt. They glinted in the sun, making little sparkles. "Hands behind your back, ma'am," he said. His voice was still calm, but it was clear he wasn't joking. Karen's eyes got even bigger. "No. This is a mistake," she cried. "I'm the good guy here. I'm the HOA queen." Then, out of nowhere, a little voice piped up. It was Timmy. He was back on his swing now, sitting there with his legs dangling. Squeak, squeak, squeak. He looked at Karen and grinned his biggest grin yet. "Oh yeah," he said, his voice bright and happy. "My dad's a cop. He said they've been watching you for weeks." He rocked back and forth, like he was telling a fun story at school. "They knew you were doing bad stuff. That's why we moved here." Boom. The truth hit like a thunderclap. It was loud and fast and shocking. Karen's head snapped toward Timmy. Her jaw dropped even lower, if that was possible. "What?" she gasped. The officers didn't wait. The tall one grabbed her wrists gently but firmly, clicking the handcuffs on. Click, click. Karen didn't fight. She was too stunned. Her clipboard fell to the grass with a soft thud, pages spilling out. Timmy's mom stepped off the porch now, walking over to stand by the swing. She smiled at Timmy, then at the officers. "Thanks, guys," she said. "Good timing." The officer with the notebook nodded. "No problem, Lisa," he said. "We've got it from here." "Wait, Lisa?" He knew her name. Yup. This was all part of the plan. Karen's brain finally caught up. "Your dad's a cop," she squeaked at Timmy. "Watching me? For weeks." Her voice was high and shaky, like she couldn't believe it. Timmy nodded, still swinging. "Yup," he said. "He's a detective. He said you were taking money from the neighbors. Money you weren't supposed to take. And making fake papers to trick people." He grinned like it was the coolest thing ever. "So he moved us here to keep an eye on you." The pieces fell into place. Timmy wasn't just a kid with a swing. He was the son of a detective, a smart, sneaky detective who'd been building a case against Karen all along. That's why the police cars were already there. That's why Timmy wasn't scared when Karen called 911. That's why his mom was so calm. They knew the truth. They knew Karen was the real troublemaker, not the swing. Karen shook her head fast. "No, no, no. This isn't right," she cried. "I'm not a crook. I'm the HOA queen. I make the rules." But the officers didn't listen. The tall one held her arm and started walking her toward the police car. "Tell it to the judge, ma'am," he said. The other officer picked up her clipboard and followed. Karen's feet dragged a little, like she didn't want to go. "This is crazy. You're arresting the wrong person," she wailed. Timmy hopped off the swing and ran over to the fence again. He peeked through the slats, watching as the officers led Karen across the street. Her perfect house looked quiet now, not so bossy anymore. Neighbors were coming out of their houses, standing on porches and lawns, whispering to each other. "What's happening?" one lady asked. "They're arresting Karen," a man answered. Everyone stared, their eyes wide. Karen kept yelling as the officers opened the police car door. "This is a mistake. I'll sue you all. That swing is the problem, not me." But the tall officer just shook his head. "Get in, ma'am," he said. He helped her into the back seat, her handcuffs clinking. The door shut with a loud thunk. Karen's face pressed against the window, her glasses crooked, her mouth still moving. But the sirens drowned her out. Wee-oh-oh, wee-oh-oh. The cars started up, lights flashing, and pulled away. Timmy turned back to his mom. "That was awesome," he said, bouncing on his toes. His mom laughed a soft, happy laugh. "Yup," she said. "Your dad's gonna love hearing about this." She ruffled Timmy's hair, and they walked back toward the house together. The swing swayed behind them, squeak, 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 like it was laughing too. The big reveal was over. Karen thought she'd called the police on Timmy, but the police were already there for her. Timmy's dad had tricked her. The swing wasn't the crime, Karen was. She'd been stealing money and lying, and now she was caught. Timmy wasn't just a kid. He was part of a secret plan. And Karen? She'd never see it coming. The neighborhood buzzed with noise now. Kids ran out to play. Adults talked loud, pointing at Karen's house. The sun kept shining, bright and warm. And Timmy? He climbed back on his swing, grinning ear to ear. The truth was out, and it was the best surprise ever. The sun was still high in the sky that Saturday morning. The police car's sirens faded away, wee-oh-oh, getting quieter as they drove down the street. Karen Wilson was in the back of one, her hands in shiny handcuffs, her face pressed against the window. She didn't look like the HOA queen anymore. Her gray hair was messy, her big glasses were crooked, and her mouth was open, yelling words no one could hear over the noise. She was mad, really mad, but it didn't matter now. The officers had her, and she wasn't getting away. Karen sputtered and argued as the tall officer held her arm. "This is outrageous," she wailed, her voice high and shaky. "I'm the victim here. You've got the wrong person." She twisted her head around, looking at Timmy and his mom, then at the neighbors peeking out their windows. That swing is the problem. "Not me," she cried. Her clipboard was still on the grass in Timmy's yard, pages flapping in the breeze. It was like her rules didn't mean anything anymore. But the officers didn't listen. The one with the notebook shook his head. "Save it for the judge, ma'am," he said, his voice calm but firm. He opened the car door wider, and the tall officer helped Karen slide into the back seat. Her feet kicked a little, like she didn't want to go, but she couldn't stop them. The handcuffs clinked together, click, click, as she moved. "This is a mistake," she shouted one last time. "I'll sue you all." The door slammed shut with a loud thunk, and that was that. Karen was caught. Timmy stood by the fence, watching the police cars roll away. His green t-shirt flapped in the wind, and his sneakers crunched on the grass. He grinned a big, happy grin that showed his teeth. "Bye, Karen," he called, waving one hand. He wasn't scared of her anymore. No one was. The cars turned the corner, and the sirens got so quiet you could barely hear them. Karen was gone. For good. Timmy's mom walked over to him, her flowery apron still tied around her waist. She put her hands on her hips and looked down the street where the cars had disappeared. "Well," she said with a little laugh, "guess she won't be bugging us anymore." Her voice was warm and soft, like she was telling a funny story. She ruffled Timmy's brown hair, making it stick up even more. "You okay, sweetie?" she asked. "Yup," Timmy said, bouncing on his toes. "That was so cool, Mom. Did you see her face? She was so mad." He laughed, a big, loud laugh that made his mom smile too. "Dad's gonna love this," he added. He turned and ran back to his red swing, climbing onto the wooden seat. Squeak, squeak, squeak. He pushed off with his feet and started rocking again, back and forth, back and forth. The ropes creaked under the tree branch, but it was a happy sound now. The swing wasn't illegal. It was perfect. The backyard felt different already. Lighter. Brighter. Like a big, heavy cloud had floated away. The sun shone down, warm and golden, making the grass look extra green. The birds started chirping again, little tweets filling the air. Even the breeze felt nicer, rustling the leaves on the big tree. Karen's yelling was gone, and the neighborhood was quiet, well, mostly quiet. Timmy's swing kept squeaking, but no one minded that. Across the street, Karen's house sat there, all perfect and still. The grass was short, the bushes were square, and not a single weed was in sight. But it didn't look so bossy anymore. It looked empty. Like no one was there to glare out the window or write mean notes on a clipboard. The neighbors started coming out now, peeking from behind curtains and stepping onto porches. They'd heard the sirens. They'd seen the police. And they wanted to know what happened. Mr. Lopez, who lived 2 houses down, walked out first. He was a short man with a gray beard, wearing a red cap. He'd painted his fence blue last year, and Karen had made him repaint it white because she said blue was too loud. He stood on his lawn, scratching his head. Was that Karen in the police car? He called to Mrs. Carter, who lived next door to him. She was an older lady with white hair and a big sun hat. She'd stopped hanging bird feeders because Karen said they brought squirrels. Yup. Mrs. Carter shouted back, stepping onto her porch. They handcuffed her. Took her away. She clapped her hands together, like she couldn't believe it. What'd she do? Mr. Lopez asked, walking closer. Mrs. Carter shrugged. Something bad, I bet. She's always bossing us around. Maybe she finally got caught. More neighbors came out. Little Joey from down the street ran up on his bike. He was 8, with messy blonde hair and a scraped knee. Karen had yelled at him once for flying a kite near her house. Did Karen get arrested? He asked, his eyes wide. Yup, said Sarah, a girl with pigtails who lived across from Timmy. She'd gotten in trouble for drawing chalk pictures on her driveway. The police took her. I saw it, she said, hopping up and down. Timmy's mom waved at them from the backyard. Hey, everyone, she called. It's okay now. She's gone. The neighbors turned to look at her. Mr. Lopez walked over to the edge of Timmy's yard. What happened, Lisa? He asked. He knew Timmy's mom's name because they'd met when the family moved in. Why'd they take Karen? Timmy hopped off the swing and ran over. I'll tell you, he said, his voice loud and excited. She was a crook. She was scamming the HOA for months. He grinned, standing next to his mom. The neighbors leaned closer, listening hard. Scamming? Mrs. Carter asked, tilting her sun hat back. What's that mean? She was taking money, Timmy's mom explained. You know those HOA fees we all pay? To fix the streets and stuff? Karen was charging fake ones, extra ones, and keeping the cash for herself. She shook her head, like she couldn't believe it either. She made up papers to trick everyone. Said we owed more than we did. Mr. Lopez's mouth dropped open. She stole from us, he said. That's why my fees went up last summer. Mrs. Carter nodded. Mine too. I thought it was for the new park benches, but we never got any. Little Joey pedaled his bike closer. She's a bad guy, he asked. Yup, Timmy said. A big bad guy. And my dad caught her. Your dad? Sarah asked, her pigtails bouncing. He's a detective. Timmy said proudly. He works with the police. He found out what Karen was doing, stealing and lying. So he moved us here to watch her. He's been building a case for weeks. He puffed out his chest, like he was a detective too. And that swing, he added, pointing at it. It was just bait. Bait. Mr. Lopez said, scratching his beard. What's that? Timmy's mom smiled. It means we put it up to get Karen mad, she said. She's so picky about rules, we knew she'd freak out. It kept her busy yelling about the swing so she wouldn't notice my husband watching her. She laughed again, a soft, happy sound. And it worked. The neighbors gasped. Whoa. Joey said, his eyes huge. That's so smart. Sarah clapped her hands. Like a trap. You trapped her. Mrs. Carter nodded. Good thinking. She was always mean about my bird feeders. I'm glad she's gone. Mr. Lopez grinned. I might paint my fence blue again, he said. No one to stop me now. Timmy climbed back onto his swing. Squeak, squeak, squeak. He rocked back and forth, listening to the neighbors talk. They were happy, really happy. Karen had been bossing them around for so long, making them follow her silly rules. No more. She was in the police car, on her way to jail, and they were free. The swing wasn't illegal. It was a hero. And Timmy? He was a hero too. The backyard gate creaked open then. A tall man walked in. He had short black hair, a friendly smile, and a shiny badge on his belt. It was Timmy's dad. He wasn't in a police uniform, he wore a gray t-shirt and jeans, but you could tell he was important. Hey, everyone, he called, waving. Looks like the plan worked. His voice was deep and cheerful, like he'd just finished a big job. Dad! Timmy shouted, jumping off the swing. He ran over and hugged him tight. You got her. She was so mad. Timmy's dad laughed and hugged him back. Yup, he said. Good job with the swing, kiddo. Kept her distracted just like we wanted. He looked at Timmy's mom. You okay, Lisa? He asked. She nodded. Yup. Cookies are in the oven. Want one? Sure. Timmy's dad said. He turned to the neighbors. Hey, folks. Sorry we couldn't tell you the plan. Had to keep it secret so Karen wouldn't run. Mr. Lopez waved a hand. No problem. You got rid of her, that's what counts. Mrs. Carter smiled. Can I hang my bird feeders again? She asked. Yup, Timmy's dad said. No more fake rules. The HOA's gonna get fixed up now. Joey pedaled over. You're a detective? He asked, staring at the badge. Yup, Timmy's dad said. Been working on Karen's case for months. She was tricky, but we got her. Sarah ran up too. Can I draw chalk on my driveway now? She asked. Go for it, Timmy's dad said with a grin. No one's stopping you anymore. The neighbors started cheering. Yay! Joey shouted, riding his bike in a circle. No more mean Karen. Sarah clapped. I'm gonna draw a big rainbow. Mrs. Carter hugged her sun hat. I'll get my bird feeders tomorrow. Mr. Lopez laughed. Blue fence, here I come. Everyone was talking and smiling, their voices mixing together in a happy buzz. Timmy climbed back on his swing again. Squeak, squeak, squeak. He rocked high, his hair flopping in the wind. His dad walked over and pushed him a little, making him go even higher. Good job, Timmy, he said. You were brave out there. Timmy grinned. She didn't scare me, Dad. I knew you'd get her. Timmy's mom came out with a plate of warm cookies. Who wants one? She called. The neighbors rushed over, grabbing the chocolate chip treats. MMM. Joey said, his mouth full. These are awesome. Sarah nodded, crumbs on her shirt. Thanks, Timmy's mom. Mr. Lopez took a big bite. Best day ever, he said. Mrs. Carter smiled. You're good people, she told Timmy's family. The backyard turned into a little party. Kids ran around, laughing and eating cookies. Adults stood by the picnic table, talking about all the mean things Karen had done. She made me mow my lawn twice a week. Mr. Lopez said. She told me my dog barked too much. Mrs. Carter added. And he's so quiet. Everyone laughed, shaking their heads. Karen's rules were silly, and now they were gone. Timmy kept swinging, watching everyone. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The neighbors didn't ignore him anymore. They waved at him, giving him little nods of respect. Hey, Timmy. Joey called. You're cool. Sarah ran over. Yeah. You're like a superhero, she said. Timmy blushed a little but kept grinning. Thanks, he said. It was my dad's idea, though. His dad sat down on the grass nearby, munching a cookie. Team effort, he said. You and your mom helped a lot. Timmy's mom sat next to him, leaning on his shoulder. Yup, she said. And the swing was the star. They all laughed, the sound floating up into the sunny sky. The neighborhood felt new now. Free. Happy. Karen had been scamming them for months, charging fake fees, keeping the money, making up lies. But Timmy's dad had figured it out. He'd moved the family here to watch her, to catch her in the act. And that illegal swing? It was just a trick. A smart, sneaky trick to keep Karen busy while the police got ready. She fell for it, and now she was gone. The sun started dipping lower, turning the sky orange and pink. Kids played tag in the yard. Adults swapped stories about Karen's mean rules. She told me my mailbox was too shiny, one man said. She said my flowers were too tall, a lady added. Everyone laughed again. They weren't mad anymore. They were relieved. Justice was served. Karen couldn't boss them around now. Timmy slowed his swing, letting his feet drag on the ground. Squeak, squeak, squeak. He looked at his parents, then at the neighbors, then at Karen's empty house across the street. She's really gone, huh, he said. His dad nodded. Yup. Off to jail. She'll have to tell the judge why she stole all that money. His mom smiled. And we get to stay here, swing and all. The neighbors waved at Timmy again. You're the best, Timmy. Mr. Lopez called. Thanks for getting rid of her. Mrs. Carter nodded. You're a hero, kid. Joey and Sarah ran over, holding out their cookies. Want another one? Joey asked. Timmy took it, grinning. Sure. The day ended with everyone happy. The swing stayed up, rocking in the breeze. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The cookies were eaten, the stories were told, and the neighborhood was free. Karen was gone, her scams were over, and Timmy was the kid they'd never forget. The little guy they'd ignored was now the hero they didn't see coming. And that felt just right. Hey there, friends. What a wild ride, huh? Timmy's story is done, and wow, it was a big one. That little kid on the squeaky red swing turned everything upside down. Karen thought she was the boss, but Timmy and his family showed her who's really smart. So, what do you think about all this? Let's talk about it. Picture this, Timmy in his backyard, swinging away. Squeak, squeak, squeak. He's just a 12-year-old kid, right? Small, quiet, with freckles and a green t-shirt. No one thought he'd do anything big. The neighbors didn't wave at him before. Karen didn't even care who he was, she just saw that swing and got mad. She thought she could yell and boss him around, like she did with everyone else. But guess what? Timmy wasn't just any kid. He had a secret. His dad was a detective, and that swing? It was a trick to catch Karen. Pretty cool, huh? Sometimes, the smallest kid in the yard can swing the biggest change. Think about that for a second. Timmy didn't look strong or loud. He didn't fight Karen with big words or run around yelling. He just sat there, swinging, with a little smile. But that smile hid something awesome. He knew the truth. He knew Karen was the bad guy, not him. And when the police came, bam! Everything flipped. The smallest kid ended up being the hero. Isn't that neat? Let's talk about Karen for a minute. She was loud. Really loud. She strutted around with her clipboard and her rules, telling everyone what to do. No swings. No bird feeders. No blue fences, she'd say. She acted like she was the queen of the neighborhood. Everyone listened to her because she was so bossy. But here's the thing, those loud, bossy types? They might just be hiding something shaky underneath. Karen was. She was stealing money and lying to people. All that yelling and pointing? It was just a cover. She didn't want anyone to look too close. But Timmy's dad did, and now she's gone. What's the lesson here, friends? Maybe it's this: don't judge people by how loud they are or how small they seem. Karen looked big and important, but she was sneaky and wrong. Timmy looked little and quiet, but he was brave and smart. You can't always tell who's got the real power just by looking. Sometimes it's the kid on the swing, not the lady with the clipboard. Pretty cool to think about, right? So, next time someone tries to ruin your fun, what should you do? Smile and keep swinging. Yup, just like Timmy. Imagine you're playing outside, maybe riding your bike or drawing with chalk, and someone comes along and says, "Stop that." It's not allowed. They might sound big and scary, like Karen. They might wave their arms and tell you you're wrong. But don't give up. Keep doing your thing. Keep smiling. Because you never know who's really got the upper hand. Maybe you've got a secret, like Timmy did. Maybe you're stronger than they think. Think about your own life for a second. Has anyone ever told you to stop having fun? Maybe a grumpy teacher said, "No talking," when you were giggling with your friends. Or maybe a mean kid said, "You can't play here," when you wanted to join a game. Did you feel small? Did you want to quit? Well, Timmy didn't quit. He kept swinging, even when Karen yelled. He knew something she didn't, and that made him brave. You can be brave too. Next time someone's mean, just smile and keep going. You might surprise them. Let's imagine something fun. Picture yourself on a swing, like Timmy. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The sun's shining, the breeze is blowing, and you're rocking back and forth. Someone walks up, someone loud and bossy. Get off that swing, they say. It's not allowed. What do you do? Do you jump off and run away? Nope. You look at them, give a little smile, and keep swinging. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Maybe you've got a secret too. Maybe you know something they don't. Maybe you're the one who's really in charge. How does that feel? Pretty awesome, right? Timmy's story shows us something big. It's not about being the loudest or the tallest or the bossiest. It's about being smart and brave, even if you're small. Karen thought she had all the power because she could yell and make rules. But Timmy had the real power because he had the truth. And the truth? It's stronger than any clipboard or any mean words. It's like a superhero power you can't see. Timmy used it, and he won. What about you, friends? Have you ever felt like Timmy? Maybe you're quiet sometimes. Maybe people don't notice you right away. That's okay. You don't have to be loud to be strong. You can be the kid who swings the biggest change, just by being you. Maybe you help a friend when they're sad. Maybe you stand up to a bully with a smile. Maybe you keep doing what you love, even when someone says stop. That's power. That's awesome. Let's think about the neighbors too. They were scared of Karen at first. She made them repaint fences and take down bird feeders. They listened because she was loud and mean. But when she got caught, they cheered. They waved at Timmy and said, "You're the best." They didn't see him coming. He was just the new kid with a swing, but he turned out to be their hero. Sometimes the people who help the most are the ones you don't expect. Maybe that's you too. Here's a little challenge for you. Next time you're outside, maybe at the park or in your yard, find a swing. Sit on it and rock back and forth. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Feel the wind on your face. Look up at the sky. Think about Timmy. Think about how he didn't let Karen stop him. Think about how he smiled and kept swinging, even when she called the police. Can you do that too? Can you keep swinging, no matter what? I bet you can. This story's got a twist, huh? Karen thought she'd win because she was loud and bossy. She thought the police would take the swing away. But nope. They took her away instead. Timmy's dad had a plan, and Timmy was part of it. That's the best kind of surprise, when the little guy comes out on top. It makes you smile, doesn't it? It makes you feel like anything's possible. So, what did you think of this twist, friends? Did it make you laugh? Did it make you cheer? I want to know. Drop a little note in the comments and tell me. Did you like how Timmy tricked Karen? Did you like how the neighbors waved at him? Did you like the swing staying up? Tell me everything. I love hearing from you. Let's wrap this up with one last thought. Life's like a swing sometimes. It goes up and down, back and forth. Sometimes people try to push you off. Sometimes they yell and say you can't swing. But you don't have to listen. You can hold on tight, smile big, and keep going. You might be small, but you're strong. You might be quiet, but you're smart. And who knows? Maybe you've got the upper hand, just like Timmy did. Thanks for sticking with me through the story, friends. It was a fun one, wasn't it? Timmy, the swing, Karen, the police. It's a tale to remember. Next time someone tries to ruin your fun, think of Timmy. Smile and keep swinging. You never know what might happen. I'll see you in the next story. Something new, something exciting, something just for you. Bye for now, and keep being awesome.